Okay, welcome to Ratio and Proportion. This is section 5.1 in my Math 61 class. So, one thing with ratio and proportions is I want you to think of fractions. So when we're dealing with ratios, we deal with fractions. Then when we go on to the proportion parts, that's where we're going to incorporate the ratio into fractions. So the first one, as we read from left to right. So whatever number comes first, so in this case 4, it says 4 to 3. The 4 goes on top of the fraction, and the 3 goes on the bottom. And then from this, we look and see if it reduces. Well, in this case, it does not. Okay, 20 to 30. The 20 would go on top, the 30 on the bottom. So I know that we can divide by 10, because that's what they have in common. And 10 goes into 22 times, or 10 goes into 33 times. Now also a really simple trick that I like doing is if you see like the zeros right here, really they cancel each other out, and look what's left, 2/3. Next we got 24 days. In 34 days. So 34 days to 24 days is 34 over 24. Now in this one, what I like to do is to reduce this is if I see an even number, I'm always going to divide by 2. And 2 goes into 34 17 times. 2 goes into 24 12 times. Now if they ask you to do it into a mixed number, then 12 goes into 17 one time with 5 remaining, so it's 1 and 5 over 12. Next, I'm asking, is this proportional? Well, so what I mean by that, so let's just say I'm going to make one up. Let's say we have 7 over 3 equals 8 over 7. And I'm wanting to know, okay, is this proportional? Do these fractions equal each other? Well, if you don't have a calculator on you to divide or anything, an easy way how to do is you sort of cross multiply. I'm going to say 7 times 7 equals 3 times 8, which 3 times 8 is 24. 7 times 7 is 49. And they do not equal, so it's a no. They have to equal for it to be proportion. Next. Okay, so here's the correct ratio. Now, if it asks you to reduce it, this is when you do the improper fraction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 2 times 2, which is 4, plus the top. So I'm going to times it and add it to give you 5 over 2. And then I'm going to say 4 times 8 is 32. Plus your 3 is 35 over 4. Now, the top number, this is divided by fractions, the top number stays the same. By dividing fractions, you actually flip them. Now, 2 ways we can do this. One way is you just multiply across and you say 20 over 70. And what I showed us earlier with that trick, The zeros cancel, or you divide by 10, as that's what technically you're doing. And this is where you get 2 over 7. Another way you could do this is you could say this: 5 goes in itself 1 time, 5 goes into 35 7 times, 2 goes in itself 1 time, 2 goes into 4 2. So you'd say 1 times 2 is 2. That goes on top. The bottom 1 times 7 is 7. Look at this. They're the same. Now, this is where we take the ratio and the proportion and we can solve a problem. So earlier I kind of showed us how to cross multiply, and this is what we're doing. We're taking, I always do the number first, 14 times m equals 7 times 10. So 14m equals 70. So you do the opposite of 14 times, so I'm going to divide by 14. So in this case, m equals 5. Now, a common mistake would be is if your homework problem in your program has m equals already, all you would have to do is just put in your 5. You don't have to put in m equals 5. But if it's asking you what the answer is or the solution is, you would put m equals 5. So if you want to, pause and try to do this one and then come back to see if you did this correctly. So remember, four times n equals 2 times 8, or, I mean, it's the same thing as 8 times 2. It doesn't matter the order with multiplication. So I've got 4n equals 2 times 8 is 16. Divide by 4. N equals 4. Now, I want to show you all something on both of these. That's why I've kept 6 like it is. If you take your answer on number 6 as 5, and you put in 5 for m, that's 5/7 equals, okay, watch this, 10 over 14. 2 goes into 10 5 times. 2 goes into 14 7 times. Take a look right here. These are equal. That means that they are true proportions. Take a look at your 4 for number 7 for your answer. 4 over 2 equals 8 over 4. So 4 over 2 is 2. 8 over 4 is 2. Those equal each other. So they are, that is correct. Okay, finally, we have decimals. 4d equals 0.05 times 0.8. So let's just say we don't have a calculator. So that's 4, 0, that's 4 right here. And then put some zeros. How many places do you have for decimals? 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. So 4d equals 0.04 divide by 4, and D equals 0.01. So that concludes my lesson on ratio and proportion. Be looking for my next section, 5.3, which we're talking about changing percents to fraction. Thank you for listening.